Hey there everyone, it's Matt the Dice Chucker from the Literary Gamers coming to you with a series of videos I'm going to be looking at historical games. This is a series where I'll be taking a look at games that are rooted in history. Maybe it may not have any historical context, but there's something important that happened in that city's history. Talking about like Euro games that are named after cities. Perhaps the game is focusing on one particular event in the city's history. Who knows? But this series of videos is going to be tackling some historic games. Now the first one we're going to talk about is a new release by Worthington Games called Chancellorsville 1863. Now, there's a lot of really interesting things with Chancellorsville. I'm going to give you a brief description about how the game works, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts. I should mention that I was provided a review copy by Worthington Games, and I thank them very much for that. This is designed by Maurice Suckling, and it plays in about 1 to 2 hours. So, give me just a moment here, and we'll hear how the game plays. So in Chancellorsville, you have the game board mat laid out, and you have units. Now, one side is going to pick the Union player, the other side is going to pick the Confederate player, as this is a game based in the American Civil War. This is what many people consider to be Robert E. Lee's greatest victory on the field. Now, when you set up your units in the Union player, it's down to the corps strength, where the Army corps. And for the Confederates, it's in the division, where there are only really 2 corps of the Army of Northern Virginia. So, what basically happens in this game is you set up kind of half of your army. And what I mean by that is, this is a war game that uses hidden movement. On the board where you have your unit strength, it actually tells you where the units all start. A few of those units are going to say they start at this place, or this place. Now, you're going to have a screen on a section of the board, and you're going to set up those units, and they're going to have a hidden movement aspect to them as the game progresses. And then once they reach either adjacent to an enemy unit, or if they're in hashed lines, then they'll reveal themselves, and they can go back into a hidden movement style, but in the rulebook it basically says it probably will, once you get them out there, they're going to remain out there, and the hidden movement part of the game is done. So, the object of the game for the Union player is to capture 2 of the 3 strategic points on the map and hold them until the end of the game, which is 15 rounds. Then you're going to also have an objective where the game could also immediately end if you destroy 3 enemy units. And once that happens, the game just is over completely. For the Confederates, it's trying to avoid the Union player from winning those objective points, at least 2 out of the 3 of them, or destroy 3 Union units as well. So on your turn, you have a hand of cards, and you have a large picture, which tells you which unit you're going to have a major activation for. Then there's a smaller picture for a minor activation, and then a number of momentum cubes. These momentum cubes can be used for, re-rolling, some combat rolls, or purchasing tactics cards. And tactics cards can be very important to how the game plays. Every time you use a unit, you have to activate it, and by activating it, you lower its strength. The rulebook describes this as you're always asking something of your men going into battle, and so they do take a bit of a hit when it comes to their strength. Now, from that, they can move adjacent. If they move into a unit that has an enemy unit, combat ensues right away. You should really give a pause each time you move, just to see if there's a possibility that a unit that is hidden in the hidden movement area will be revealed. And then a major activation will allow the unit to move twice, and then the minor activation will allow a unit to move once. Once the player has completely finished using the card, they will have a chance to purchase tactics cards. If they choose not to purchase a tactics card, the one all the way at the end of the row will go into discard and slide the rest down. This gives you the feeling that something's always moving in that. Now, what kind of things can you do besides moving? Really, you can build readouts, which allow you as a defender to set your opponent's dice when they start combat. And when combat happens, when you meet in the center, what you do is you take a look at the bottom of your unit, and it gives you the strength, and it'll tell you how many dice you roll. You roll that many dice depending on terrain modifiers, and then what you're rolling, you're looking for doubles. Low doubles are bad, they'll hit you. High doubles are good, they're going to hit the defender, unless of course the redoubts are there, which dice have already been set. You may always spend 3 black cubes to re-roll as many dice as you like, or you can always lose a strength or cohesion. You can always spend a cohesion to re-roll as many dice as you like, and then once you have what you would want to do, you'll handle casualties. If you roll dice, when you roll dice, if you roll 6s, it's going to be lose 2 cohesion to the defender, and they have to retreat. The Union player will always retreat north. The Confederate player will always retreat towards the objective points, more towards the end of the board, instead of up in the Fredericksburg area. And once again, if the Union can hold on to the positions, 2 out of the 3 of the objective positions until the end of round 15, they will win. If the Confederates have halted that, then they will win, or if either side has destroyed 3 units of the enemy. And once you have that, you'll have a chance to win Chancellorsville 1863. So what did I think of this game overall? Recently, Jen and I have been going through a list of games that came out in 2020, and we ranked them, and we tried to figure out our ratings, and I was not surprised to find out that Chancellorsville had been my game of the year, at least so far. We're in early December. That could change, but I highly doubt it. I always enjoy historical games that can take a moment in history and compact it down to a very quick amount of time. Last year, a game called Watergate came out. It had rooted itself in history and in theme, and I think the game did a great job because not only were the mechanics sound, but the mechanics really felt very much like this battle between Richard Nixon and the Washington Post. The same thing happened here. First off, I was never bored in a game of Chancellorsville. I was always trying to readjust strategies based on what my opponent was doing, based on what was happening with my cohesion levels. And there are a few things I missed in the rules summary, but I'm just going to kind of giving you a gloss over here. Chancellorsville takes the theme of the battle and properly brings it to the game. The hidden movement mechanic I found, while I didn't think there was enough of it, I really enjoyed it. I thought the hidden movement made the game shine as far as the theme goes. If you want, I'll give you some recommendations on Chancellorsville if you'd like more information at the end of the video. The fact that you can use commanders instead of using your card, and using Stonewall Jackson in certain ways, unless, of course, the tactics card comes up that he's been shot. In that case, you can only activate him once. There are a lot of smaller detailed rules like that really kind of capture the theme here. But the big thing going into it that I enjoyed, especially during setup, was that hidden movement mechanic. That so much is kind of there but hidden to you, and it's all really rooted in the history. Chancellorsville 1863 has taken a historic event and brought it to a game, and unlike other war games I've played in the past, this one has not always ended up historically. So what I mean by that is Battle of Chancellorsville, Lee's greatest triumph, was a Confederate victory. It's continually studied today as one of the great battles, not only of the American Civil War, but American history. And out of the 5 or 6 games I've played of this so far, the Confederates have won 3, and the Union has won twice. So yeah, I think that's what happened here. So the Union does have a chance to win. It's not one of those games that's recreating a battle, which often happens with some historic games. This one does it differently, and for that pure fact, I enjoyed it. I've played too many games nowadays where, we're just kind of reenacting it, and while we're learning something, it's okay. I would also recommend Chancellorsville to people who don't play war games. Why would I do that? Because the game is so simple. You're not bogged down with piles and piles of modifiers for combat. There are a lot of really great battle games out there that do that, and they have their audience. But to have someone who's never played a war game before, I would highly recommend Chancellorsville, because it's so easy. The game flows properly. The card play allows there always to be a sense of interest. No one is ever like, oh, I'm so bored by this by now, so I'm going to just move on. Chancellorsville 1863 kept my interest the whole time. So it's a big recommend for me. In the end, I rated it a 9.25. Now, the second part of this is people are going to ask me in the comments, what is it compared to Freeman's Farm, 1777? I understand that Freeman's Farm was the predecessor here. I've not played it. I haven't gotten a chance to play it. So I can't give you my opinions on that. I hope to play it soon, but as of right now, I haven't had that chance. Tell me how the game played in the comments and how it compares to Chancellorsville. I'm going to throw some pictures up here and there to kind of show you the game board. But if Freeman's Farm captures the same simplicity that Chancellorsville did to make it a highly accessible game, then I will definitely be checking it out sometime in the near future. So I mentioned that as literary gamers, we're not just gamers here, we're readers. Excuse me. And I'd like to recommend a few books on Chancellorsville if, after playing this game, you say, wow, I really like to learn more about this. Now, the game does give you some background in the rulebook, but at the same time, none can compare to Stephen Sears' Chancellorsville. This is a very in-depth look into the whole battle and the preparations of the battle and the aftermath. For those who don't know, Stonewall Jackson, who got shot doing reconnaissance, died after the battle, and even though it was Robert E. Lee's greatest victory, it came at such a cost for him commander-wise. So this will detail the whole battle for you. The next book I'd like to recommend is Chancellorsville's Forgotten Front. This is about the Battle of Fredericksburg. Interestingly enough, this is where your units begin. Trying not to get a glare here. Units begin in the game, and Fredericksburg is a place of contention when it comes to the Battle of Chancellorsville. And this book, Chancellorsville's Forgotten Front, deals with the second battles of Second Fredericksburg and Salem Church. This is written by Chris Mikowski and Christopher D. White, an excellent read. And if you're really fascinated by the whole Stonewall Jackson part of the Battle of Chancellorsville, I would recommend Calamity at Chancellorsville by Matthew W. Lively. This is a book that chronicles, when Jackson gets wounded all the way to his death and gives you everything you want to know about this pivotal battle in American history. That's going to be it for me on Chancellorsville 1863. High recommend, rated a 9.25, my game of the year. And keep your eye open for more historic game videos. I'm not just going to be doing reviews of games, I'm going to be talking to people about history games and why or why not they may not like to play them. So keep your eyes open. I'm hoping to get kind of a good feel of how I want the series to go. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, like, subscribe, and comment. Please, I always enjoy hearing what people have to say. Yes, the giveaway is still going. If we can hit 500 subscribers, we will be giving away 3 copies of the first book in my fantasy series, On the Edge of Divinity. It's the one book I did not grab as I came down to talk about this game with you. So join us next time, and join us next time.